If you're starting a new trucking business, you bought a truck, you're going to operate under your own authority, these are the 50 things that you will have to, or you will have the option to do before you can start your business, before you can operate your own truck. So first of all, before we do anything, even before you buy your own truck, we're going to start with opening a corporation. And some people like to operate under LLC. I like a corporation, especially if you plan on growing your company, building your corporate business. Corporation is treated more seriously by banks, by other partners. So my accountant prefers corporation. That's what he advised me to do. But I would advise you to talk to your accountant and especially find someone who does work with trucking companies and see what they recommend for you to do, because they will be doing your taxes. So make sure that you consult with a accountant whether you're going to open a corporation or an LLC. Once you incorporate, you will want to obtain your federal employer identification number. And that is something that you can do by yourself on the IRS website. It's a very easy process. You get the PDF letter right away. If you decide to go with a corporation, you will have to fill out Form 2553 to be classified as an S Corp. So again, talk to your accountant, your financial advisor, but I really like operating under an S Corp. Once we have the corporate stuff done, we're going to apply for a DOT number. So once you have your DOT number, you will need to obtain insurance in order to get an active authority. So we're going to start with liability insurance. Liability insurance, that means that if you get in an accident and it's your fault, your insurance will pay for their damages and injuries. Then we'll need cargo. If you have a load and it gets damaged, the insurance will pay for the damages of your load inside the trailer. And the third kind of insurance that you'll need is physical damage. That's if something happens to your truck, especially when you finance, you're required to have physical damage. The insurance will pay for the damages to your truck. Depending on the brokers you work with, they might require you to get a general liability insurance. And depending on your situation, where you work, where you get your loads from, talk to your insurance agent if you need a bobtail insurance. That's when you are not holding any loads and you're just using your own truck for your private trips, private purposes. You might need bobtail. Once we get our insurance in place, we're going to get our MC number, which is the operating authority, and these MC numbers are going away. Soon they will only use DOT numbers, but still, as of now, you will need your MC number to have active authority. And if you plan to operate intrastate, so basically when you do pickups and deliveries within one state, you might need an intrastate authority. And here in Illinois, it's Illinois Commerce Commission, so ICC. Now, depending where you live, your town or your city might require you to obtain a business license. So go to your town hall or just email them and ask if you need a business license. Even if you operate from home, you still might be required to get your business license. And sometimes you might have to record your corporation with the county. So I would ask the county if they require you to have the corporation registered with the county. I forgot about one more type of insurance. Sometimes they will require you to have a workers' comp. That depends on the state, the type of loads you haul, the type of broker or customer that you work with. So they might need a workers' comp insurance. So this means that if you get injured or one of your employees gets injured, the insurance will pay for the disability. Workers' comp. So running a trucking company is like being pregnant. Everybody says congratulations, but nobody asks how many times you got fucked. So the first year is not going to be easy. It might get ugly, but once you go through the first year and you actually start making money, you become successful, it really does feel good. Once you taste the freedom of the jungle, you really don't want to go back in the cage. So if you have your mind set in the right direction, you want to be successful, you want to grow, you want to be your own boss, your own owner, operator, and you decide to go ahead and open your own authority, buy your own truck. Again, these are the steps that you will have to take or consider, or just basically know that they exist because you might be required to do it depending on the type of work that you do. So now let's go to the permits. All right, so let's start with the IFTA, International Fuel Tax Association. So this association of all US states and Canadian provinces, and they each charge a certain amount of fuel tax whenever you pump fuel, and you have to pay them based on the number of miles that you drive in that state. So every quarter, every 3 months, you have to file an IFTA return. Basically, you have to summarize how many gallons you pumped in each state, how many miles you drove in each state, and you either owe them money or they owe you money, and then you have to pay the balance, or sometimes they owe you some money every 3 months. We have to do it. If you have an e-log and fuel card, it's really easy. So you got IFTA, and now there's a few states in the US that they require you an extra permit as well. So here are the states that you'll need to consider a permit. Definitely New York. New York HUT. You'll have to set up an online account with New York. You'll have to set up an online account with Connecticut. You'll have to set up an account with New Mexico. You will have to set up a KYU with Kentucky, and you will have to buy a permit every time you go to Oregon, so set up your online account as well. But in Oregon, if they pull you over and you have no permit, it's $300 to $400 ticket, and there is no way to get out of it. Trust me, I got one, couldn't get out of it. All right, another bullshit fee that you have to pay is Unified Carrier Registration. I have no idea what that is. I think it's like 20 or 30 bucks per truck. But again, I had no idea I have to buy that. And they pulled over one of my trucks at the scale, and it was $300 ticket. So remember to get your UCR. And by the way, if you need help with any of that, go to my website, drivernest.com. Just send me a message what you need. I will help you with everything. Just let me know how we can help. I have vendors that do all of that, and I can guide you in the right direction. If you decide to hold containers, you might need your SCAC code. So you don't really need that, but sometimes it's just good to have. It doesn't cost too much, but some brokers ask you for the SCAC code, so you might apply for that. One of the big expenses, especially if you travel to the East Coast, is the tollway. So you will definitely need to get an Easy Pass or an iPass, and they do not work in all the states. So for the East Coast, we will need the Easy Pass or the iPass if you live in Illinois. Then for Florida, we need SunPass. Then for Colorado, we need Express Toll. And for Kansas, Texas, and Oklahoma, we need the Pike Pass. I like setting these up before we start operating. That way you don't have to worry about paying cash for the tolls or getting any violations. You just set it up, you put the stickers on the windshield, all good to go. Now, if you ever need to pick up at a port or like a petroleum refinery, anything like that where they have to check your credentials, you might need a TWIC card. It's a good thing to have. That's your Transportation Worker Identification Card. TWIC. You will have to set up an appointment with TSA, give them your fingerprints. I think it costs about $155 if I'm not mistaken. But it's really good because otherwise you will have to use an escort, and it costs anywhere between $100 to $200 to use an escort. And most of the brokers do not reimburse for escorts these days because they expect you to have a TWIC card. It speeds up the process, so definitely recommend it. All right, so don't ask me what it is, but before you start operating, the person that gets your insurance or authority, they will have to register your company with the BOC 3, whatever that is. So just remember, it's very important. You won't get your authority if you don't have your BOC 3 set up. Then you will have to be a part of a drug testing consortium. Even if you're an owner-operator, you are driving your own truck under your own authority, you will have to get drug tested with a pre-employment drug test, and then you will have to be in the drug testing pool. So you might be randomly selected, even though you're just by yourself in your company. So drug testing consortium. All right, the person that sets up your authority and insurance, they will have to do your 2290 heavy highway use tax. It's something that you really don't worry about. Just have someone else do it, but you have to know that something like this will be paid every year. So that's additional cost. Just keep in mind, 2290. All right, every truck runs on diesel. So one of the most important things to do is to get your fuel card. And I work with RTS. They offer the best fuel discounts, especially at Pilot and Flying J truck stops. So you can get the fuel card on my website, drivernest.com. So we're going to get a fuel card. And I'm going to tell you why. Because if you have fuel card, not only you get fuel discount, so you can get anywhere between like 30 to 80 cents a gallon. So that comes out to thousands of dollars a year. But when you have to file your IFTA every 3 months, every quarter, and you have a fuel card and you have an e-log, then you just print out your miles from your e-log, you print out your gallons from the fuel card, and filing IFTA is just a piece of cake. It's really not complicated. You can do it by yourself. It's really easy. So definitely recommend fuel card. Do not use regular credit card or cash for fuel because you're going to miss out on that. And it's going to be really hard to do IFTA because you'll have to keep all the paperwork, receipts, and everything. So once you have a fuel card, we will need set up factoring. Unless you are super rich, you will need to factor. You can get it on my website as well. I'll help you with that. Factoring means that when you deliver a load, the broker has 30 to 60 days to pay you for the load, but you need money now because you have to pay for fuel, pay for repairs, pay for everything. So factoring is going to charge you about like 2 to 3% of the load. So on $1,000, that's 20 or 30 bucks, and they will send you money the same day. So basically you deliver today, you send the paperwork to your factoring company, and they pay you the same day. You have your money in your bank account in the morning. So definitely worth setting up, especially if you're not sitting on a ton of cash and in the beginning you really want your cash flow and have the money right away. You cannot wait 1 or 2 months for the brokers to pay you. Factoring is the way to go. I mentioned fuel card and ELD. You will have to install an electronic logging device unless you are operating a glider truck that has an engine block pre-1999, but anything after that, you will need your ELD. And now I would shop around because some ELDs might be cheaper, but they do not include internet. Some, the more expensive ones, they already include internet connectivity, so you don't have to worry about extra hotspot. But if you choose one that does not come with their own internet, you will have to get a mobile hotspot for your truck so that your ELD is always connected to the internet. And most of the ELD providers, they offer you an upgrade to a forward-facing camera or both ways facing camera and a GPS. So basically you have all in one app. You have your miles, you have your IFTA, you have your hours, your logs, your camera, all your history. So that's pretty good technology these days. All right, we forgot about the registration. That's what's going to slow you down because the first time you buy a truck, it's going to take about 30 days to get your first registration. It's called the International Registration Permit, if I'm not mistaken, IRP. So we'll have to get your license plate. You're going to get your temporary registration first, and then the hard plates will come, but it takes about 30 days. So even though you have your authority, you won't be able to operate it because you'll have to wait for your plates. If you go to California or if you live in California, you might be required to get your CARB compliance. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it has to do with the environment and emissions. So just see if you need to get your CARB. Some brokers will not give you a load going to California if you are not CARB compliant. So you might want to look into that if you're planning on operating on the West Coast. Remember that your truck will need an annual inspection. Sometimes when you buy a truck, especially if it's a used truck, it might have an expired annual inspection and they might pull you over at a scale and give you a ticket or even put you out of service. So remember to have your annual inspection on your truck and your trailer. How are we going to pay for all this? Great question. We're going to set up a business checking account. Business checking account. Once you have your corporation and your federal employer identification number, you can take it to your bank, open a business checking so that you don't commingle your personal finances with your business expenses, because then there is no point of corporation, because that's when you cross that boundary, you will be personally liable for your corporation if you mix those expenses. This is why you need a business checking. And the second most important thing, we're going to get a business credit card. Two things about the business credit card. First of all, it's security. Every transaction can be canceled. If you lose your credit card, you can cancel it. You can request a new one. Your money is protected. Second of all, you build up points. So every time your truck breaks down, free vacation. Actually, last year, my family and I, we took 7 trips, everything for free. It was all paid for with points that we spent on trucking. all the repairs, all the accessories and all that stuff, that all adds up really quickly. So if you want to learn more about the credit card, just let me know in the comments. I'll make a video about it. But definitely business credit card is the way to go for all your trucking expenses, except for fuel. Do not use your credit card for fuel. Use your fuel card for that. All right, we're at 39, 40. Now we have to start booking loads. How do you book loads? On a load board. And the number one load board in the world is DAT or DAT. It's going to cost you anywhere between $50 to $150, depending what version you want, how many trucks you have. But this is the first one that you want to start booking loads with. Now you have to remember, when you get your authority, most of the brokers will not give you loads. Some brokers require you to have 6 months authority, some 3, some 1 month authority. I think the only broker that will give you loads right away is TQL. So you'll have to sign up with TQL. Now, after 30 days, you will be able to book loads with Coyote. Other ones to consider, it's going to be Uber Freight, CH Robinson, JB Hunt 360. And if you sign up for a fuel card with RTS, which you can find it on my website, RTS has a load board too. So these are the main ones that you should consider signing up on day one, because these brokers will give you loads after 30 or 60 days. Everybody else, you will have to wait 3 months or 6 months. So it's going to be really hard to book loads unless you have a direct customer already set up. The first 6 months will be really tough to get good loads because most of the brokers will tell you no. Now, we're going to book loads. We're going to make money. We'll have credit card to spend money for your accounting needs. I recommend getting a QuickBooks. And I don't know, you can have everything done by your accountant and pay them for that. Or if you want to do it by yourself, QuickBooks connects to your business checking account and it will automatically download all the transactions. So just go approve, 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 or this is car truck, this is payroll, this is repairs, this is maintenance. And then at the end of the year, all you have to do is just print this out, the summary, send it to your accountant, and you're done. So I love using QuickBooks because everything is automated. Usually when you start with one truck, you really don't need a trucking management system, TMS. If you really want one, you can get it. This is where you upload all your confirmations and then you set up everything in the system. But that's for multiple trucks operation. But one thing that you will definitely have to do, set up your Gmail business account. Gmail business account. And you can just set up your regular email with your corporation name at gmail.com or your corporation dispatch at gmail.com. And you will want to set up your Google Drive for Google Sheets. Google Sheets. This is the best way to keep track of all your loads. You can actually set it up for to calculate your rates per mile, your revenue, how much you're booking for the week, for the month. If you want a video on that, I can definitely show you how to set up your Google Sheets so that you can just type in your loads and you will know every week how much money you're making, what your rate per mile is. So this is very helpful because you can access Google Sheets from any device, anywhere in the world. So definitely Gmail and Google Sheets is the way to go. The very last thing that comes to my mind would be the DUNS number. Dun & Bradstreet, that's a corporate credit history company. So you really want to set up your DUNS number. Just set up an account so that you can start building your corporate credit. So every time you purchase your equipment, you get a credit, you get a credit card, all that is already reported to DUNS, and oftentimes banks will look into your credit history on Dun & Bradstreet. So you might want to just set it up for the future. So if you have questions on any of that, just go to my website. There is a contact form. Let me know your question or write down in the comments what else you want me to make videos about. I'll be more than happy to explain, help you out, steer in the right direction. I do have a lot of connections in the trucking business, especially when you're from Chicago, Illinois, or even nationwide. I'll be more than happy to help you guys out. In my next video, we're going to make a calculation on how much it really costs to operate a one-truck trucking company. What is the cost per mile?